So just when you think Donald Trump can't possibly get any weirder and can't possibly do something over the top, he goes out there on Fox and Friends, he calls in, and he tells them that he's worried about going to heaven. He's trying to get into heaven, and he's been told that he's low on the totem pole, which is news to me because every time he ever talks, he talks about how great he is and how that he's never had to ask for forgiveness in his life because he never does anything wrong. But apparently now something is eating away at this dude's conscience. And so we're going to play this clip and then talk more about Trump's sudden concern about his soul. Take a look.
You know, we're not losing American lives. We're not losing American soldiers. We're losing Russian and Ukrainian, mostly soldiers. Some people, as missiles hit wrong spots or get lobbed into cities like Kiev and towns. But, you know, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's I want to try and get to heaven if possible. I'm hearing I'm not doing well. I hear I'm really at the bottom of the totem pole. But if I can get to heaven, this will be one of the reasons. Well, I think I saved a lot of lives with India, Pakistan. They were going at it. The planes were being shot down. That was going to be maybe a nuclear war if I let that go. And I did that through trade.
Okay, so first of all, I'm agnostic. So I don't really spend a whole lot of time worrying about heaven and hell. But if I did believe in it and I was Donald Trump, I would definitely be concerned about it. If he was my dad, if he was my uncle, if he was my brother, I think I would try to set him down and talk with him and be like, hey, Uncle Don, you know, I mean, there's a lot been said about you, and if half of it's true, you're really fucked on the other side. I think I would come up with something to say to him. But that's just weird to me that suddenly, after all this time of he's the greatest human being in the world, and he said he's never asked for forgiveness because he doesn't see why he would have to. He said he never did anything wrong to ask forgiveness for. And talked about how he loved to go to church. He loved to go to the Sunday churches. What was it also? He loved 2 Corinthians. He couldn't name one verse in the Bible. That cracked me up because I know people that don't even go to church that often that can quote verses. I know atheists that can quote the Bible like crazy, and I know people that don't go all the time or hasn't been in years that can whip out a verse. And people that truly do believe in God and believes in the Bible, the devout Christians, they can't wait to tell you what Bible verses they know. But he couldn't think of any. So for whatever reason, and I'm not trying to judge the guy, he suddenly has a guilty conscience. He's suddenly worried about what's going to happen to him on the other side. And I go back to something my grandfather told me. Now, my grandfather was a World War II veteran. He was a lifelong Republican, and he was a Christian. He believed in God. He had some different beliefs than his parents. They kind of had differing opinions on how the world would come to an end, but they still believed that Jesus was the Son of God, and they still believed in following his teachings. They may not have always lived up to that, but they tried. And they tried to pass it on down to my mom and on to me. But my grandfather used to say that in the Bible, I think it's Matthew chapter 7, verse 1. See, I could remember this shit. It says, judge not that you be not judged. I might have got that wrong, but I'm pretty sure I got it right. Doesn't matter. Anyway, judge not that you be not judged. So my grandpa used to say, the Bible says to not judge. But it also says that ye shall know them by their fruits. So my grandpa would tell me, you can't judge them. You're not going to get to decide where they spend eternity at, but you can be fruit inspectors. You can look at the fruit and you can see what kind of fruit that tree brings forth. And if the tree is bringing forth rotten fruit, you can absolutely call it out. So I will say that from everything that I've seen about Donald Trump, his fruit is fucking rotten. It's rotten to the core. And I can't be the judge of him. If there's something on the other side of this, I mean, if you really stop, people's always talking about Judgment Day, but really, if you just stop and think for a minute that one day we could potentially stand before this supernatural human being that knew it all, you know, this supernatural being that knew every single detail. Now, we're supposed to have the answers. I mean, really, the whole thing is lunacy in my mind, because if you really stop and think about it, how could any of us live up to that standard? It would be impossible, especially with the books that was left for us to read. So for those out there saying, Brando, be careful now how you talk about this. One day you might have to stand before God. What I will say to him is this, if he's actually there. I'll be like, look, I did the best I could. I was seeking for the truth. But the books you left got picked up by people with political motivation and political agendas, and they used it to weaponize it against people they hated. And I watched them be cruel motherfuckers. And so I didn't want to go sit and hang around those kind of people every Sunday, because they were doing everything that the book said not to do. So if somehow or another they had it right and I had it wrong, then please send me to hell with the good music, you know. That's just how I look at it. But Donald Trump is out here now suddenly worried about his soul, and he's making this which is hilarious to me. But he's making this claim that he has ended 6 or 7 wars. And when I heard that, I was like, what in the hell is he talking about? So I went looking for it, and I found this article on the New York Times. I want to read it to you. And when I'm traveling, I really don't have the capability of pulling up the article on the screen. You stay in these places, they'll always say, we have Wi-Fi. Every place I go, it's like no matter where I'm at, no matter how big the city is, everywhere I go, when I hook up to the Wi-Fi, it's slow as shit. So, so I'm going to read to you just a little bit here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just for some context to his claim about the 6 or 7 wars. So Trump says that he has resolved multiple wars since taking office in January and that he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. He does not deserve that when he has the National Guard on the streets of his own country. I'm averaging about a war a month, Trump said, in Scotland. Geez. On Monday at the White House during talks with the president of Ukraine, he aimed at moving toward a peace deal with Russia and referred to 6 wars that I've settled. On Tuesday, in an interview with Fox and Friends, he said he had ended 7 wars, though he did not specify which one he added. So I really want to get to heaven, he said in the interview. He says I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. You sure as hell are. I'm not being a judge. I'm just being a fruit inspector. But so it says every U.S. president has world conflicts land on his desk, and Trump has used the power of his office, including the threat of economic penalties, to intervene in several this year, leading to an end of fighting in some cases. But let's go on down here. This is asked for clarification. The White House provided a list of 6 wars that he says he solved. So the one in Armenia. So Trump brought together the leaders of Armenia, and I cannot pronounce the other country, to the White House this month to sign a joint declaration aimed at bringing their long-running conflict to an end. It was not a peace deal, but it was the first commitment toward one since fighting broke out in the late 1980s when a weakening Soviet Union unleashed strife in the Caucasus. So there's one. Then come on down. It's not clear when the route will open or on what terms, and major barriers to lasting peace remain. So not a done deal. Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda, however the hell you say that one. I'm terrible with words, by the way. I don't care to own it. In June, the top diplomats of the Democratic Republic of Congo came to the Oval Office to sign a peace agreement aimed at ending a war that has raged over 3 decades. Qatar also played a major role in the deal, which was intended to pave the way to a full peace agreement. Mr. Trump called the accord a glorious triumph, but talks on a comprehensive agreement have since faltered, and deadly fighting has continued. And I can tell you this much, before I really dove into this article, I pretty much knew that's where we were going. With Donald Trump, you always can. So Trump's also taking credit for putting an end to the military escalation between 2 nuclear powers, and we know he loves that word, that broke out after a terrorist attack in Kashmir that killed 26 civilians. So India has acknowledged that America's role in mediating, but says it negotiated an end to the fighting directly with Pakistan. Israel and Iran, after 12 days of strikes in June that included U.S. attacks on Iranian nuclear sites, Trump abruptly announced a ceasefire agreement. He said the U.S. had mediated it and claimed that Israel had turned around its warplanes at his behest. It was my great honor to destroy all nuclear facilities, he said. Stop the war on Truth Social. Although neither side has disputed the American role in the truce, its durability remains in question. Talks have broken off between Iran and the United States on the future of Tehran's nuclear program, and Israel considers it an existential threat. I can't even talk today. I apologize, folks. I've had a long day. But Cambodia and Thailand, same thing. The 2 Southeast Asian neighbors engaged in summer days of fighting that killed at least 42 people and displaced more than 300,000, one of the bloodiest conflicts between them in decades. At the time, Trump was discussing trade deals with a host of countries. Trump said he had told the leaders of Thailand and Cambodia that he would stop trade talks unless they agreed to a ceasefire. 2 days later, officials met in Malaysia for talks organized by Malaysian and American officials and reached a deal to pause hostilities. Critics of Trump's approach say his intervention did not address the underlying issues of the conflict, though the fighting has stopped. But that's Donald Trump. He's always going to sit and take credit for things and never give you the full context. He's just going to say something to throw it out there to make his followers latch onto it, believe it, and they think he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. But the dude does not deserve that kind of prize when he has drove so much war and waged so much war on his own people. And he's waged war on the streets by bringing in the guard from all these other states to D.C. now. He's waged war on women. He's waged war on the gay and trans community. He's waged war on woke, because we can't wake up from the madness and learn about anything or educate ourselves. He's declared war on DEI. He's declared war on immigrants. He's declared war on anyone that disagrees with his political ideology. And anyone that does has a bad name given to them, and suddenly, it's just over and over. It's been the same thing from day one with this guy. And now suddenly he's worried about getting to heaven. All I can say is it's a shame there ain't a hell for him to go to. That's really all that I have to say about that. But it's funny that all of a sudden he's worried about it. And gee, I wonder why. I don't really have to say it. But when someone works that hard to make a story go away and then suddenly they're worried about their soul, I think that speaks some volumes.